Hello dear students, very good morning to you all. In today's class I teach you next topic from this module, that is different ways to define structure variables. This is the third class on structure. Already I taught you what is structure, why structures, how to define structure and how to define structure variables. We look at syntax and examples. In today's class I teach you there are many ways to define structure variables. I taught you one of the method. I teach you the remaining ways also. You may get a question on this topic in examination. Discuss the different ways to define structure variables. Now I explain you how many methods do you know? I explain you four methods I explain. If you get a question on this topic in examination, I request you to explain all the four ways to define structure variables. That means first we have to create our own data type. That is what the structure. I am creating one structure named struct student here with how many members? 4 members. I want to store student roll number. I want to store student name. I want to store student marks. I want to store student grade A, B, C, D, H, like that. Then I want to store the information of 3 students. Means I need 3 variables. How to define variables now? S1, S2, S3 are the variables of which type? Struct student type. This is one method whichever I taught you already. How to store roll number of first student? S1.RNO, S1.name, S1.marks, S1.grade. Similarly, S2.all members, S3. This is one way to define structure variable. Second method. See here, again the same structure is there. Struct student with 4 members. Before semicolon only I typed S1, S2, S3. That means this is a structure. These are the variables of which type? This structure type only. But you need to type before semicolon. Means here the time you are going to waste here. First create the structure, then struct student, S1, S2, S3. You are saving the time here. Just you have created structure, you have defined structure. At the same time you defined 3 variables. While writing programs, you can write in this way or in this way. Both are valid. In one of the lab program we define like this. Now can you tell me what is the meaning of it? This is an array now. S is an array of the size 10. We can store the information of how many students? 10 students we can store. S of 0 dot roll number will have the roll number of first student. S of 0 dot name will have the name of first student. S of 9 dot the respective member will have the information of last student. You can define like this. I hope you understood. While writing computer program, you can define like this. Remember everything as and when needed. I request you to make the use of this knowledge. One more third way. Struct keyword has been used here, but no name at all. What I did, structure I defined without name, and I defined the variables. If you are defining the variables here only, no need to give the name. At what time you have to give the name? If you are using it afterwards somewhere else, then use like this. No, if you want to work with only 3 variables, define 3 variables without name. This is also valid. This also works. Very good. Next, last way. Type def is one of the statement available in C language. I teach you about this one in detail afterwards. Actually, type def is one of the statement available in C language. It helps us to give alternative name for data type. What is the use of type def? It helps us to give another name, renaming. It helps us to give type def means rename, alternative name. See here, structure definition started, structure definition completed. Afterwards here semicolon, stud I have typed here. This time stud is not a variable. Why? Because type def has been used. That means you are giving another name for struct student as stud. You are renamed. Type def means it helps us to rename. You are renaming the data type struct student with new name as stud. Now stud is not a variable. This is a data type. Instead of using 2 words, you are given single name. Now S1, S2, S3 are the variables of which type? Stud type. I hope you understood. Very good. I explained how many ways to define structure variables. 3 ways. First method, define the structure, define structure variable, define the structure before giving semicolon, define the variables, or array of structure, define a structure without name, give the variables here only. One more is renaming the data type, type def. It helps to give alternative name for the data type. You are giving another name for struct student as stud. Stud is the data type. S1, S2, S3 are the variables of the type stud. This is what all about how to define structure variables differently. This is the answer for that question. I hope you have understood. Very good, and keep it up. Now one more thing, initialization of structure variables means assigning the value. What do you mean by initialization? Assigning the value to the structure variable. As you know already, you can assign some values to the structure variables at compile time also, at run time also. At compile time means you know the values you store. Run time means we do not know, we read from user. Both are very important. I explain you slowly. Now struct student. I created a own structure. Struct student S equals to, in flower bracket, 4 values I passed. 101 will be stored in s.rno. John will be stored in s.name. Marks will be stored in 600 will be stored in s.marks. Grade A will be stored in s.grade. This is the way how to assign the values. What is the syntax followed by me? Struct is must, tag name means structure name, variable name, then list of values separated by comma. This is the syntax for initialization of structure variables at compile time. At runtime means we do not know the values, we read. We have defined the structure, roll number, name, marks. Struct student S. S is a variable of which type? Struct student. Enter student roll number, name and marks. How to read? Already you know, scanf. Percentage D is for roll number, S dot roll number. Percentage S is for name, S dot name. While reading strings, as I told you already, you may use ampersand or you may not. No problem. Percentage D for marks. Means machine is waiting for the input. If I give 101 as input, that will be stored in RNO. Thomas will be stored in name. 600 will be stored in marks. This is how to initialize structure variables. I hope you have understood. Very good. See the next topic. Now let us write one program now. Now you have the capability to write a program. Can you write one program now to read and display student information like roll number, name and average marks of a student? Yes, now you can. First you have to what you have to do? Hash include stdio.h. Then the program starts. As I told you already, you can define a structure outside of the main also, inside of the main also. If you define outside of the main, you can use this structure inside the main as well as within any of the user defined function. If you define inside, only inside the function you can use it. I will show you those examples also. In the next example, we are defining outside. No problem, I explain you afterwards. Struct student with how many members? 3 members. Roll number, name and average marks. Struct student S. S is a variable of the type struct student. I want to read student roll number. Enter student roll number. How to read? S.rno. Enter student name. S.name. Enter average marks. S.avg. You can write single printf and single scanf also. That is also valid. As I told you already here, you can write just one printf and one scanf. Then also it works. You can try by your own, no problem at all. You can read separately also. If you want to print, you can print by using single printf, or you can use separate printf. Student details, roll number equals to so and so, s.rno. Name equals to so and so, s.name. Average marks equals to so and so, s.avg. Return 0 because int I have written. I hope you understood. What is the output? Enter student roll number. 101 will be stored. Thomas will be stored. 69 will be stored. Whatever has been stored, that one we are printing back. That's all. See one more program. This is a simple program to read and display employee information. Employee number, employee designation, employee name, designation and salary. Very easy program. Hash include stdio.h. Create the structure. Struct employee. First rule number, name, salary. Struct employee E. Enter employee number E.ano. Employee name E.name. You can remove ampersand for hiding strings, and enter employee salary E.salary. I did mistake here. Percentage of I used, that must be integer because that is member is which type? Integer. Employee details. Employee number is so and so, name is so and so, salary is so and so, return 0. I hope you have understood. See one more program. Now same program, first time this. Here we have defined outside, that is the difference. I defined the structure before main starts. Struct student and name, USN, one subject marks and IM marks. Okay, subject name. We are reading student name, university number and subject name and IM marks. This question was asked in VTU examination for your seniors. Then struct student S. Rule number will be stored in, name will be stored in name, USN is will be stored in USN, that is string type, and name will be subject name will be stored in SUB, IM marks will be stored in IA. Student details we are printing back, name, USN, subject name and IM marks. Very easy. Today I taught you many things. Please practice. In the next class, today only I complete. Accessing structure members. How to work with the members? Dot operator we use. Structure variable dot member name. Yes dot RNO. Yes dot name. Yes dot marks. In examination, you may get a question on accessing structure member. How to access the structure member in CPL lab? That examiner will ask you, sir, we use dot operator to access the member of a structure. Like that you will give the answer. What is the syntax? Structure variable dot member name. And any examples you can write. We define one structure, we assign the values, we are trying to access the same thing. This is what all about accessing structure member. In the next class I teach you nested structure. Shortly it completes. Please watch the video again and again till you understand. If you won't understand, please ask me questions. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take care.